Welcome to another show of Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small. I'm co-host with Paul Ogden.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Paul. Today is February 4th, 2012. I had to think about the date. We are broadcasting to you, or whatever you call it, on the internet from Indianapolis, Indiana, Big Hat Books. Big Hat Books is located at 6510 Cornell Avenue in Broad Ripple. That's on the north side of Indianapolis. Amongst things that are going on here, World Book Night is going to be celebrated on April 23rd, 2012. And World Book consists of, you come here to Big Hat Books and choose from amongst 30 titles that and they've got 30 good books on here. You pick one of them, and then you come in on April 16th, and you pick up like 20 copies of that book for free. And then you take them to a party, hold a party on World Book Night, April 23rd, 2012, and give them out to your friends. And that's a way of getting people to read more. This is a really neat bookstore. Amongst the books that they have, and this is cogent and relevant to today's topic, is a biography of William Henry Harrison, who set the record as President of the United States for shortest time in office. I believe that was 32 days. He gave a 5-hour inaugural address without a hat and freezing downpour, and died a little bit over a month later. But there are other books here. It's a really neat bookstore. Second level here has an art exhibition by the G.C. Lucas Gallery. It's a really neat place. It's locally owned, and so your business isn't going to a big box bookstore.
The show is Civil Discourse Now. It's a show that discusses or attempts to discuss issues civilly, whether they be local, state, national, or international. In fact, we have we could call it an international event happening tomorrow in Indianapolis, the Super Bowl registered trademark, or big game.
That's registered trademark with a different, and they screwed up. The NFL has this thing about the Super Bowl, and they said, well, just call it the big game. But apparently big game is also a registered trademark of two colleges that play a game, and so it's like, they screwed up on it.
Well, how about we call it the large game?
The large game.
The large, or the sizable game.
And last weekend we had a show about the zoning ordinance that they put into effect in Indianapolis that significantly restricted free speech, and it's totally unconstitutional. We did a special edition on Wednesday from the Red Lion, which is in the Fountain Square area of Indianapolis on the near south side, and they had gotten cited for violation of that ordinance. So we were kind of prescient on what it was that was going to happen, and
they had their sign actually taken away.
Yeah, they had property seized, and the thing is, everybody's walking around right now talking about, this is really great. This is just, the Super Bowl is going to make us a world-class city. In about 3 or 4 months, when really they realize how much those taxes mount up and how much it is we paid and how much the NFL took out of town on Gulfstream 4 jets and through electronic transfers, people are going to say, but where's my money? Dude. So we're enjoying the party now because it's kind of like, I don't know, Gary Gilmore, the night before they executed him, got a little, in 1977 I think it was, got a little bottle of Jack Daniels from like an airline thing. It's kind of like, oh well, enjoy it now because like the price is going to come due and we'll get shot by firing squad. Our guests today.
On that note,
that's
a great way to go.
Mike Kole was Libertarian Party candidate for Secretary of State here in Indiana in 2006. That meant that by getting over 2% of the vote, you got
3.1.
3.1 means that Libertarian Party qualified to remain on the ballot and didn't have to get petitions and stuff to get on the ballot.
Exactly right.
He has a blog, the Kole Hard Facts. That's TheKole Hard Facts, and he has a history degree from Cleveland State.
Okay.
Our other guest is frequent guest on the show, Jeff Cox. Jeff, what's your blog?
No boxes allowed. It can be found at www.no-boxes-allowed.blogspot.com.
Jeff, is there a reason why you chose that name? I was curious.
Because people in the political sphere people tend to be put into boxes, either they're liberals or they're conservatives, Republicans or they're Democrats. Well, my blog is for people who can be both. Like in my case, I'm a security conservative. In fact, I'm ruthless on security issues, defense, crime.
What's wrong with Ruth?
Well, at her steakhouse, she moved her headquarters from New Orleans to Orlando right after the Hurricane Katrina, and I think you need to be loyal to New Orleans in that.
Yeah, but also to go to Orlando is just...
Yeah.
And you're a graduate of Ohio University, is that correct?
The Ohio State University.
Oh, that's different, because Athens, Ohio is a very beautiful town. Very
Not
rolling
really.
hills.
Not
really
really.
marvelous. No.
Not really.
Oh,
Party school.
It is. It's an
It is a
excellent
party school.
Heck of a party school.
it is an excellent party school.
So our two guests are from Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh, we will hold that against them.
Well, I know. Okay, we're here today. Our topic is we're discussing best, worst, and most mediocre presidents in U.S. history. A topic that I think is timely because we're here at the start of another leap year, and we're every 4 years. I think you talk about how bad it's gotten in terms of campaigning and the ads and the quality of the ads and the number of the ads. And so I think it's a good chance to reflect right now on the best, worst, and mediocre. And we're first of all going to discuss a criteria by which we would judge great, bad, and mediocre presidents. Mike, what would you deem as criteria? You've got notes and everything.
Yeah, I do. And I'm probably the oddball on that because I think there's an overemphasis on conflict resolution. For instance, just to take someone who's not going to be in the top 5, not going to be in the bottom 5, and not in the mediocre, there's really like 8, 9, 10 with John F. Kennedy. Kennedy gets really high marks from a lot of people. That puts him around 8 or 9 or 10, and it has to do with things like how he handled the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Which is pretty big.
Yeah, but he caused the problem. So, or precipitated the problem. Okay, cringe, but I'm saying these were, look at the Bay of Pigs, a horrible mistake. And the sorts of mistakes that bring us to the brink, that tends to get glossed over in the recognition that, hey, he solved the problem. And that's great that he solved the problem. Could have gone the other way, could have been a lot worse. But I tend not to give quite as much credit for those types of things. I don't think war and resolution of conflict is the only metric by which they should be judged. How about how our economy did? How about civil liberties? Were they retracted or were they expanded? How about peacetime considerations? I think a very boring president can be a good president if he leads us through a strong economy, a time of no conflict.
What about ability to play golf?
They all seem to be pretty good at
Dan
that.
Quayle would be probably number 1 there.
Well,
No, I think Barack Obama would be.
No, actually, in terms of time on the links, I believe that George W. Bush probably was.
No, not even
But-
close.
But Eisenhower started the whole thing with golf. So,
I let it go.
Jeff, what would you use as criteria?
Well, the most important issue, I think, for government under the social contract is security. Any government.
It's a surprise.
Right. You can't have a functioning economy, you can't have a functioning society without security. That's government's job. But we trade a little bit of our liberty for the security. And I know Benjamin Franklin's been misquoted on that. But you can't have a functioning society without it. You would always have clans fighting each other, vengeance over wrongs, real or perceived. That's why you need to have government, and why its main focus should be security.
So when you mean security, you mean internal or external?
Yes. Now, in the U.S., internal security is limited a bit because that's mostly left to the states. Although the feds have moved in more and more on that, but police powers are mostly left to the states under our Constitution. Externally, in terms of international relations, that's the most important function of the federal government. It has to protect the interests of the United States and its people abroad. It has to protect us from war. It has to protect us from intimidation or extortion. It has to protect the freedom of trade so we can sell our goods overseas. It has to protect U.S. citizens overseas to the best of its ability. That is its primary job. Everything else is secondary.
War. Huh. Paul, what would you use as criteria?
Well, Jeff and Mike both have some excellent observations. I think part of the question is, how do you rate someone who may not be faced with the challenges that a Lincoln was? What about Eisenhower? He wasn't faced with a lot of challenges. Was he a great president? Unlike Mike, I maybe give less emphasis to the economy because, unlike as portrayed on TV news and how people's perception, the president doesn't have a set of buttons he can just push and make the economy take off. A lot of it is just be in the right place at the right time. And one of the things I've pointed out is that from about 1980 on, we've had an information revolution every bit as big as the Industrial Revolution that has led to the growth of the American economy. Of course, it's no longer growing, or I guess it's taken off again. But
It has.
slow.
Nah,
But it's starting
right.
to heat up. But that's another show. But anyway, some of the things, whether the person rose to history's challenges or did not rise to history's challenges, whether they changed the country for the better for the long term. So those are a couple things I focus in on. And as far as the mediocre presidents, we want to talk about the middling average presidents. They will have not affected it either way,
And
pro or con.
I think, okay, in terms of my criteria, first of all, I look for intelligence. And that's something that I...
So you're a Woodrow Wilson fan.
Well, no, because I think that you also have to look at the morality of the individual, and you also have to look at the long-term effects of what that individual did as President of the United States.
So you're worried about morality, so you would knock out Bill Clinton right away?
No, I'm not talking about that kind of morality.
Okay, all right.
Whatever particular peccadillos one cares to have, I don't care if we had a president who was onanistic about Rosemary Clooney films. That would masturbatory. Okay,
Oh, all right.
okay. I wouldn't care about that.
That was a mental image I did not need.
Okay, but I wouldn't care about that. They could be female or male. That was not gender specific.
Sometimes when you have a hole and your only tool is a shovel, you need to stop digging.
Okay, well, but here's the thing. I don't care about what their personal proclivities are. The morality that I'm talking about is that they tell the truth, that they don't commit felonies, that they try to keep their word, that their word is their bond, that if they act in some deceptive manner, say in foreign relations where everybody kind of acts deceptively, that they do so in such a way that it's not harmful to the main thing that they're trying to do. For example, we didn't tell Pakistan that we were going to go in and snuff bin Laden.
Nor should we have.
And we didn't go in to snuff him. I mean, they had every intention in the world of going in there and saying, "Stop for a moment, you who had like killed thousands of our citizens. Just hold on there. Turn the remote off. You're watching porn right now." And he had a huge porn collection. You're watching porn. Just stop for a second. Oh, you're reaching for that gun. Boom, and then they grabbed, all the equipment they couldn't got out there.
So you're looking at honesty
In the context of the presidency.
right. I'm trying to. Your criteria seems to have knocked out all the presidents. I'm not sure we'll have 5 left.
Well, no,
That'd be
because
great.
it's kind of an ad hoc morality, I think. I mean, and this gets down to what I
It's
said.
morality as you define it and nothing more.
Well, it gets down to
Well, it's all subjective.
It gets down to what I was saying this week in my blog at one point. Would you really want in office, holding the powers of president, a person who had the personality traits necessary to become president of the United States? It's kind of a conundrum. We're at the end of the first segment. We'll be back. We're going to go over mediocre presidents first. After that, worst, and then we're going to end with the best.